What's up, y'all? This is Brave. I'm back with the review for a show that I feel like I have given up more than any other show that I've ever watched. Baby, I give up on this show every chance I get, and that is Sistas. Yes, I'm back for season 9, but here's the thing. I'm going to try my best to stick with it. It's just that last season, when I tell y'all it pissed me off so bad, it pissed me off so bad because you had Andy. That girl did not know if she was coming or going. She did not know who to trust. 1 minute, she was like, okay, cool. Everything's good with Robin. Next thing you know, shit went south. She didn't trust him no more. Shit was all over the place for Andy, okay? Which brings me to the first scene of this episode. Yes, this is season 9, episode 1. The episode is titled, No Time to Wait. Let's get into it. So now we are in the aftermath, okay, of that gun going off. We already know Hudson has shot Jasmine in the head, okay? We all saw that there was a tussle for the gun. Here's the thing. Andy and Zach, they are okay. Gary, he's over there shaking and quaking, baby. He, again, rattled. But I'm like, Gary, as much of an asshole as you've been to people, I don't know why you quaking like this. But I forgot. It's something supposed to be wrong with him, remember? Now, Zach, this man, the cops come in, right? Perfect timing, right? Cops come in, and Zach, of course, is talking shit to the cops. I'm just like, Zach, could you stop with the tough guy act? It took y'all long enough. Negro, did you call them before you ran up in there? Is that why you saying that? I guess. So I guess at some point, one of the officers must have checked Hudson's pulse because now he getting arrested. I said, oh, so I guess he's still breathing. Cool. My whole thing about this whole scene, if we was going to do this big reveal that it was Jasmine and Hudson and they were teaming up together, I'm just trying to understand why we brought her back just to get shot in the head. Like, Jasmine really came back for one scene that lasted every bit of maybe 3 minutes, and I might be pushing it. Like, if we was gonna make her the villain, I just feel like we could have utilized her more, okay? But you know what? Whatever. Y'all, we slide on over to Karen and Fatima. As we know, Karen's water has broke, okay? They're in the car. Traffic is crazy, it's backed up, and we learned that the city has had a blackout. And then my whole thing is, I'm like, well, damn, if it's a blackout, how are y'all, like, not realizing it? But, you know, whatever. So, Fatima is promising Karen, like, girl, I'm going to get you to this hospital. I'm going to get you to the hospital. I cannot imagine trying to get through heavy traffic while 2 babies need to be delivered. That is wild. But one thing that I will say is that writers, or maybe it went back to Tyler, what we're not going to do this season is keep up the conflict between Karen and Fatima. That's dead. It's tired. We've moved on. We need to see these ladies grow as women. And I don't want to see not a near conflict this season between these 2 ladies, especially after this episode, okay? So we jump on over to Andy and Zach, and they are over here going over what happened with Jasmine and Hudson, right? They're telling the cops, giving a statement, and here's my thing. Andy has realized in this moment that she could have died tonight. And I said, but Andy, this ain't the first time you've played this game with Gary and his ex-wife, and you almost died. Remember when old boy got shot with the rubber bullets? Like, girl, you need to just go ahead and pack it up. Leave any and everything that has to do with Gary Borders alone, okay? So the cops at this point tell them, like, okay, thanks for the statement. However, you're going to have to go down to the station because we need y'all to give y'all statements to the detective. Baby, Zach walks off. Zach is like, I ain't got to do nothing. I ain't going down there. Only thing I need to do is go see my wife. I said, okay, but that's not how that works. Y'all know what? Again, I try every season with Zachary Taylor. We got to see some growth. We have got to see some growth with his character. Him acting like a little brat right now, it makes absolutely no sense, okay? But we're going to go ahead and move on, because I'm telling you, they better give Zach a real, change in this show, because he can't just keep floating around in life and he ain't got no job, he ain't got shit going on. Get that man something to do. But we're going to go ahead and move on. Also, Fatima is not your wife, sir. We get back to Karen and Fatima, y'all. They have made it to the hospital, right? Now, we got lights flickering and all type of stuff. I said, damn, are the zombies about to come out? What is going on at this hospital? They ain't got no generator? But, nonetheless, y'all, when I tell you Fatima, y'all, God must be working on Fatima. Because this whole scene pissed me off, okay? So, they get up to the front desk, right? Now, they're walking past people who work there. Fatima said, hey, I have a pregnant lady. You know how they usually do on TV shows and somebody's supposed to come out with the wheelchair? Baby, ain't nobody came out with no wheelchair. Nobody gave a damn that this woman is pregnant with twins. So, they see the lady at the front desk. She is so, she's acting hella nonchalant, don't give a damn that Fatima is telling her, hey, this woman is pregnant with twins. All this stuff, nothing. She's like, y'all can go sit down over there. And at one point, they do go sit down, but Fatima is wiping Karen's face, and Karen is burning up. She's touching her face. She's like, Karen, you are burning up. So, she tells the nurse, hey, something is wrong. She's really hot right now. Here go the nurse. That's the usual things that happen when a person's pregnant and about to deliver. And it's just you really don't give a damn. So, Fatima's like, well, can you at least get her some water, get her some ice? Aren't they supposed to give pregnant ladies ice? Or is that just something I've heard or seen in the movies? Nonetheless, that lady was not even trying to move. And I get it. There are other emergencies happening. I understand that. But the fact that nobody moved, and keep in mind, we can see in the background, there were other nurses around. It was a man in a white coat. Listen, we're going to have to use these extras a little bit better. You mean to tell me nobody can do anything? God, y'all, I'm telling you, it pissed me off. And I really hated watching this scene, y'all. Now, I have never had children myself, but I cannot imagine the amount of emotional stress and trauma that a person is enduring while the only thing they're trying to do is deliver a healthy baby and to make sure that they stay alive. And then you have the people who are supposed to help you, the hospital staff, not giving a damn. And that is what we saw this entire episode. And y'all, it just broke my heart for Karen's character. Oh my God. So, at one point, Karen is like, oh, call my mom, right? And Fatima's like, okay, I'm gonna try to call her. So, she's about to step away to make a phone call. But, of course, Karen is like, don't leave me. Hell, Fatima, do not leave her up in this damn hospital, because I don't know what could happen. Okay? But, y'all, we go from that to some old bullshit. When I say some old bullshit, woo, Jesus, work with me. Because we got to talk about Rich and Sabrina. First of all, I have been sick of this man since we met his ass. And last season, pissed me off. That man, he literally tried to force himself into being a parent. And what I mean by that is, he wanted to magically donate his sperm to Sabrina because she found another man who was willing to donate to her. And because he wanted to be so controlling and be like, no other man can have her, we don't want nothing to go on in that situation, so I'm going to volunteer my sperm, knowing he don't even want no goddamn kids, okay? That's one thing. Then, that lady told him, you have the trait for sickle cell. And that motherfucker acted like he had sickle cell. Nigga, you ain't got it. So the fact that you literally made this whole doctor's appointment about you, and how the doctor was like, well, baby, she got other options, and he didn't want her to use the money. Y'all, that shit was crazy to me. But also at the same time, Sabrina, I'm giving you a side eye because it sounds like you're trying to get these embryos implanted as fast as possible. But you and your man ain't never even tried to have a baby the natural way. That's a little weird. But y'all, that man, when I tell y'all, he worked my nerves. He worked my nerves last season. For us to literally get to the point where we saw him and Penelope hooking up at the juice bar. Now, yes, this is after him and Sabrina broke up. First of all, Sabrina should have left his ass a long time ago, okay? Because he's very selfish. But Sabrina walks in on him because she was going to drop off her, his like leftover belongings that were at her house. And she saw them hooking up. So we see the aftermath this episode. And baby Sabrina is pissed, okay? And what pissed me off is that he tried to make excuses. That man literally sat out there. It was like, it's not what it looked like. Nigga, what the fuck you think it looked like? That bitch is humping on you. She's riding you like there is no tomorrow. And what's crazier is that he tried to hit Sabrina with a line. I barely put the tip in. Y'all come get rich now. Come get him now. You barely put the tip in? Sir, who are you talking to? I'm sorry. Sabrina, you stayed there talking to that man way too long, okay? Now, we realize it's only been how long since they broke up? Oh, wait, 2 days, okay? And he feels like he's justified in hooking up with whoever that he wants to hook up with because they have already broken up. And then he goes on to blame Sabrina. And it's like, yeah, because, I had to use this as a distraction because you was, driving me crazy because you was on my mind all the time. I'm trying to understand Rich, but when I tell you that man is grasping at straws, trying to say any old thing, 1 minute, because you're such a narcissist, you want to try to blame her and make it seem like it's her fault that you went to go have sex with this girl, but also at the same time, you still want Sabrina back? So now you ain't trying to piss her off too bad? No, man. Get away from Sabrina. Get this man away from Sabrina now, okay? Then had the audacity to hit her with, yeah, because, I'm glad you walked in to stop this from happening. Stop it. It was already going on. Okay? What are you talking about? Pissing me off. Then, y'all, we see Danny and Tony. Why are they still together? Why is he here? Why is he at her house? I thought we established that those two don't need to be together. And it's like, maybe he's going to move to Alaska or he's going to have to quit the company. Danny, why are you trying to help him figure that out? He's not really, he's your man, I guess. But you just literally went through a whole court battle. That man was trying to set you up to where you were on leave. And he didn't want to take the heat. Even though he was always the person who initiated everything that happened between y'all at that job. We are not going to act like he was not the one who was coming by her desk trying to cop a feel. He's the one who signed her up for the program. Danny, please use your brain. Tony ain't fucking worth it. I don't understand why you're trying to make this work. This is all a him problem. And then for some reason, he's thinking that they're a package deal and that they are going to, move together to Alaska. That girl ain't leaving Atlanta. And then Danny, she's like, there's not enough black people there. Girl, you shouldn't even be thinking that you could possibly go there with him. So then, this is where things get real interesting for me because according to Tony, he wants to do a long distance relationship now. Because this will only be for a year. He keeps saying that this is only going to be for a year because he's assuming that he's going to get in good graces with the company again and they're going to let him come back to Atlanta. Sir, that's not how that works. Okay? Please stop. And then here comes Danny. She's like, I don't want to do long distance. Girl, you should not want to be with this man, period. What are we talking about? So, next thing you know, we move on to Andy and Zach, right? They're back at her place, and she thanks him for having her back, which is cool. And you can tell that Andy is very shaken up at this point. Now, she does ask Zach to, look around her place, make sure it ain't nothing funny going on, because she is still having a big fear of Gary. My whole thing with Andy, bitch, I can't take you seriously. You have such a fear in your heart when it comes to Gary, but you refuse to move out of the penthouse. You got some bread. You can absolutely sell this penthouse and move somewhere else, considering it's in your name. So I can't take you seriously if you don't want to take your own safety seriously. Girl, go on somewhere. So Zach looked around. He didn't find anything. Andy out of nowhere asked him, should I get a gun? Girl, out of all the bullshit that you've been through, now you want to get one? And then she's like, well, I've never been this close to death. And then she asks Zach, has he ever been this close to death? And he's like, yeah, but when he was younger, he didn't really care about dying. However, he has a lot to live for at this point, and he feels like God ain't done with him yet. I said, okay, cool, Zach. Now, after that, he does tell her she just need a little prayer and some therapy, and she'll be right back on track. Moving on. Andy, she's like, oh yeah, you know what? We really need to talk to Fatima, right? And Zach is like, oh shoot, I gotta charge my phone. My phone is dead, right? Baby, this is one show where everybody's phone be dead. I said, how is everybody's phone dead? Ain't that much happen? Like, I know the phones are out, but y'all phones is dead. That's two different things. Nonetheless, he tries to charge his phone in one of the outlets. It's not working. I'm thinking that maybe Gary had did something to like the power or something, or Hudson did. But I don't know why it wasn't working, but he ends up plugging it in her bedroom. My question was, why does Zach close that door behind him when he was going to plug his phone up in her room? That was a little weird. But moving on, we are back to Sabrina and Rich. Now, he says that he's happy that she stopped it because, he took things too far with Penelope. And he's so glad, y'all, so glad that Sabrina stopped it. And my whole thing is, Sabrina, baby, why are you here? Why are you here with this man? So then now she has questions. Because Sabrina, she's like, wait a second, you've known this girl for forever. Like, y'all grew up together. Is this the first time that y'all have ever hooked up? Or like, what? Honestly, Sabrina, you shouldn't give a damn. You should have just walked away and went to your car. But no, she want to do this thing with Rich. And he's like, no, this is the first time. I've never looked at her that way. I've never done anything with Penelope. Like, that's just never been a thing. Now, he says that he don't want her like that. He's like, I don't want Penelope like that. Penelope was just something to do to get my mind off of you, Sabrina. Baby, why Penelope come outside, smacks him upside the head? Because she heard exactly what he said about her. And my whole thing is this. Penelope. Pass around Penelope. Pass around Penelope. That's all I'm thinking whenever I see this woman at this point. Because you was already right on Gary, right? Then on top of that, you tried your best to get with Robin. And y'all, where the fuck is Robin at? Because last time I checked, when they did like the previous season thing, wasn't he at the airport and then the power went out, or it like glitched and they made it seem like we was gonna see Robin? Where Robin at? Don't tell me he off this season again like he did the last time. I digress. Back to the moral of the story. Okay. When I tell you that damn Penelope was throwing herself at Robin in hopes that if she fuck on him, then that means that Andy would have a problem with it. So now you went and threw yourself at Rich. Girl, just passed all around. I can't take Penelope seriously at all. Now, we go back to the hospital, y'all. Now, Karen is supposed to be next to get her bed. And Fatima, she is trying to, call her doctor. But because the phones, they keep going in and out, the wires are down, she cannot get a connection, and she can't get in touch with the doctor. And, baby, we want Karen's doctor to deliver these babies. However, if we can't get a hold of them, then the doctor that's there on staff, he's going to have to deliver the babies, right? And Karen's like, no, I don't want that. Y'all, this is like breaking my heart because Karen is going through it. Like, this sucks. And again, we have Fatima. She is trying her best to get these phone calls to work. Now, y'all, we go back to Danny and Tony. And he feels like they can handle a long-distance relationship because he's done this before with his ex-wife. Do you hear yourself when you talk, Tony? Because I don't think that you do. Your ex-wife, the one you're not even with anymore? And according to him, they broke up for different reasons. Y'all, what did they break up for? Because I can't even remember. Nonetheless, he's trying to tell her that he can come to Atlanta, once a month, and then she could come to Alaska. She said she ain't going to Alaska. Like, it's never going to happen. And Danny's phone starts to ring, and she ignores it. And y'all, that shit pissed me off. It pissed me off because I feel like that was probably the one phone call that Fatima probably got through to ring. Because if the phone lines are down, you probably ain't even gonna hear nothing. You know what I mean? The one call that finally went through, and you over here go put the phone on silent, so that way y'all can figure out this long distance thing. Or if y'all gonna break up. That's the answer. If you have no plans to ever go to Alaska, then y'all need to break up now. I don't understand what we're talking about. Like, am I crazy, y'all? So, this is where things threw me completely off. Because she would rather him quit his job and get another one than for him to go to Alaska, where his job is technically guaranteed, okay? Now, he's like, you want me to quit my job in this economy? And he's like, if I quit my job, I don't think I can handle my financial responsibilities, right? Y'all, in this moment, I said, you know what, Danny? You are selfish as fuck. Because that nigga got kids. 2 of them, to be exact. That man has children to afford their lifestyle. If he does not have that, whatever his salary is, if he don't have that money coming in, he's not going to be able to really pay his mortgage, pay for their, probably private school tuition. We don't know what he got set up for his kids and stuff, or just his lifestyle in general. If that man is coming to you saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford, taking care of my responsibilities, and your response is still for him to go out there and get another job, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't even understand. So then he says, well, you got that big settlement, so maybe we can survive off of that. And she said, what big settlement? Because, baby, that's my money. That's my rainy day money. I said, baby, you have this girl sitting on stacks, and she's still going to live in that little studio apartment. Okay, girl. But nevertheless, he says that, I was just messing with you. That nigga was not messing with her. He was really trying to figure out a way to make this work, okay? And if they could have survived off her little money, then maybe things would have been better off for him. You know what I'm saying? So, at this point, y'all, for some odd reason, she's like, well, you know what? Maybe we can go ahead and have some sex. I said, sex? Girl, how is that going to help the situation? Again, Daddy, you have not grown at all. This is the same man because you said, oh, I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to do all these vices anymore. I'm trying to get my life together. And when you took sex off the table for him, he turned on your ass. And now you want to give it up to him for what? Like, the only way that this makes sense to me is if this is the last time that y'all gonna hook up. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap this relationship right on up. Because it just doesn't make sense. Or am I crazy? But y'all, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Back at the hospital, y'all. Now, it has been an hour since they said that Karen was going to get a bed. Y'all, she still has yet to get a room. And keep in mind, at the top of the episode, when they got up in there, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to give her a fetal monitor. Never gave it to her. Now, y'all, you can tell that Fatima is trying to hold back from cussing that lady out because, she don't want to cause no thing. And she don't want to cause no mess, and then she gets put out of the hospital, and then she can't even support Karen how she needs to. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, Karen, she's like, she has chills. This is not normal for her. And Y'all, that nurse, again, she was being a bitch. Like, a complete bitch. And nobody is trying to help them. Like, Fatima is still trying to call any and everybody. Ain't nobody being able to answer the phone. The calls ain't going through. Like, worst possible scenario that I've ever seen on a show at this point. Like, this is horrible. Like, I cannot even imagine having to go through that. Now, we jump on over to Zach, y'all. This scene pissed me off. He's yelling, and y'all know Zach is loud as hell. He yelling at Andy's house like, Andy, I'm about to leave, but I gotta get my phone first. He literally walks up to her bedroom door. Again, he's loud as hell, announcing that he about to walk in. He swings the door open. Y'all, why was she changing her clothes? Girl, are you kidding me? How did you not hear him doing all that yelling? You ain't got no headphones on. Your walls can't be that thick. The door cannot be that thick that you cannot hear him yelling all through this house. So, of course, after she put some clothes on, she comes out the room. He apologizes to her. And basically, these two agree that they're not going to tell Fatima that he saw her naked. So then, these two finally decide to check their phones. And Andy sees that she has 10 missed calls from Fatima. But she can't call her because she has no reception. Moving on, we get to the hospital again and we meet Nurse Rhonda. This is a black woman. She sees Karen and Fatima, and Rhonda, she goes to get a wheelchair. Now, when she goes to get this wheelchair, here comes little Miss Front Desk Girl. She's like, what are you doing? Her room isn't ready yet. And she's like, I'm taking her to room 114. And here goes Front Desk Girl. No, she needs to be in a different room. I have that room for somebody else. Girl, she's about to deliver these babies. Shut the fuck up, please. Now, y'all, where was Miss Rhonda at? But I guess she probably was all over this hospital. But shout out to her for at least being able to take Karen to a goddamn room. So then we jump back over with Sabrina, Rich, and Penelope at this point. Now, Penelope is told to go back in the juice bar. And Sabrina, this is where you lost me, sis, because you had the audacity to be like, I can't even stomach to look at her. To look at her. Penelope don't owe you a goddamn thing. You really shouldn't be able to stomach looking at that nigga over there. Okay? Like, that just made no sense. I'm like, you would rather sit up here and argue with Rich, but Penelope don't owe you anything? And you want to be super mad at her? Girl, bye. Now, Penelope, she's like, first of all, Rich, you kiss me. And secondly, it's just sex, baby. She said it so casually. And Sabrina's like, yeah, but you knew I was with him. And Penelope's like, okay, and y'all broke up. And at the end of the day, baby, we ain't friends. I said, well, listen, Sabrina, she don't owe you nothing. We got to call a thing here. And Sabrina's like, you know what? You're right. Because I would never be friends with a woman like you. This is where things were left for me, y'all. Because Penelope says, yeah, you want to say that about me, but what type of woman are you? You fucked your sperm donor. I said, now hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up. When did that happen? Because they went on a whole trip to the Bahamas and it was never said that they actually had sex. Or am I tripping? Did I misremember that? Did Sabrina hook up with that man? Because I thought she didn't. So then Sabrina, she literally looks at Rich and she said, oh, you been pillow talking? I said, well, girl, he must have been saying a lot because I don't think that he told this girl this right before they smashed. It sounds like him and Penelope have had conversations for a while. So, next thing you know, Sabrina is like, I don't even know why I'm wasting my time. So then she ends up trying to walk off and Rich tries to grab her. But she yells at him to get up off of her. So then Penelope, she does the most disgusting thing for me. She literally is like, let her go, Rich. And then she said something else. I don't even know what she said. But then she starts to rub on his chest. Girl, this is not a competition for Rich. Please, no, you can keep that rusty, dusty nigga. Okay? So then Penelope, she basically tells Sabrina that she can handle Rich. And I'm just like, Penelope, you're fucking deranged. You are really sick in the head. And Sabrina, she ends up telling them that they deserve each other and that they reek of desperation. Sabrina, get away from them people. My girl needs a whole fresh start because this is ridiculous. Moving on, y'all. We are back at the hospital. Karen's mom, she finally shows up. So I'm guessing that Fatima was actually able to get through to her. And Karen is still saying that there is something wrong. But now they're told, oh, she has to wait for the doctor. So Karen, she ends up asking, if the girls have called. And Fatima is like, listen, nobody has answered the phone, but I left everybody voicemails. We also learned that Aaron, he's on his way, and the doctor finally comes in. Baby, again, Karen is neglected and disregarded. Like, he even says that, oh, she's bleeding, and does nothing about it. And then the fact that he points out that she's having twins by 2 different men, yo, that pissed me off. Because I'm like, why is that even on the fucking paperwork? Like, what does that have to do with anything? What is happening right now? Like, Karen's experience is horrific at this point. And I feel like she should be able to sue the hospital. I don't know how, but she should be able to sue the goddamn hospital. So, y'all, we see Andy and Zach. And Andy is finally checking her dumbass voicemails. And we didn't even get to see her get, like, the real call from Karen. About Karen. It was about some other stuff that she was checking voicemails for. I'm like, we could have skipped this scene. We see Sabrina. She goes to her car and she's, trying to tell herself that he ain't worth it and neither is Penelope, right? Then we see Danny and Tony. This is after the aftermath of them doing whatever they did. And we finally get to see all the ladies hearing the voicemails that Fatima has left them. And I'm annoyed, y'all, because every time Zach is about to do something at Andy's house, he jump over that couch. I said, why are you doing that? Please stop. But besides that, this is, for me, the fact that all those ladies had to hear it on a voicemail and nobody was able to answer their phone because they had their own shit going on was crazy. Like, damn. Y'all know who should have been able to pop up? Pam. Because y'all know Pam probably would have answered the damn phone. But also, back to Andy and Zach real quick. Why'd they get in the elevator? Like, I thought, like, when blackouts and things like that happen, you're not supposed to get on the elevator. Is that not a thing? Or it's just because that's the only way you can get to her apartment? Whatever. So now, all the ladies, they are on their way to the hospital. Now, Fatima and Karen, Karen's mom, they're actually talking outside of her room because they're like, yo, the symptoms that she has, there has to be something going on. How can we, get somebody to see her? And Aaron shows up, y'all. Aaron shows up with these pink balloons. He's so excited because he's about to be a dad. My only question was, Aaron, how the fuck is it a crazy blackout outside and you had time to stop at the Dollar Tree for pink balloons? Like, sir, I get it. But how you managed to do that? Now, besides that, he's like, oh, how's Karen doing? Have I missed anything? And they tell him, like, they don't really know what's going on. And he ends up peeking into the room. And you can see that, like, the towels and the sheets, they're bloody. But they're not delivering no baby at this moment. So it seems like Karen is kind of, like, bleeding out. And y'all, this is just too much. This is just way too much for my mental. But I do feel like maybe Sistas is going to bring it this season. The only reason why I'm saying that is because we have had lackluster seasons for sure where things made absolutely no sense. But with the way Divorce Sistas is written in comparison to Sistas, oh baby, they're going to have to step it up. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen this season. Y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this first episode. Did y'all think it was a good first episode? Like, it was stuff going on, but I'm not sure if it was the best way to do a first episode. But y'all, let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all on my next review. Bye, guys.